The Desperate Proposal. The morning sun cast long shadows across the human embassy compound when Ambassador Niven Walsh heard the urgent chiming of the communication array. He set down his coffee, the bitter taste still lingering on his tongue, and hurried to the main hall. What he found there made him stop dead in his tracks. Standing before the massive entrance doors was an alien unlike any he had seen during his 3 years of diplomatic service. The being was tall, nearly 7 feet, with silver-blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the morning light. His features were angular but noble, with deep purple eyes that held an expression of desperate determination. Most striking of all were the intricate ceremonial robes he wore, indicating high rank among his people, the Viridians. "Ambassador Walsh," the alien spoke in accented but clear human language. "I am Jorak, third son of the High Council of Viridia. I come to you with a proposal that may seem unusual to your kind." Niven straightened his diplomatic uniform and approached cautiously. Relations between humans and Viridians had been strained for months, teetering on the edge of open conflict over mining rights in the neutral zone. Any unexpected visit could signal either breakthrough or disaster. "Please, honored Jorak, how may I assist you?" Niven replied, using the formal greeting he had learned during his cultural training. Jorak's massive hands trembled slightly as he reached into his robes and withdrew a holographic projector. The device hummed to life, displaying the image of a young Viridian woman. She appeared to be in her mid-20s by human standards, with the same silver-blue skin as Jorak but softer features. Her dark hair fell in gentle waves around her face, and her eyes held a quiet sadness that tugged at something deep in Niven's chest. "This is my sister, Zara," Jorak began, his voice heavy with emotion. "She was injured in a transport accident 2 years ago. Her legs, they no longer function as they should. Among my people, this makes her unmarriageable. She will live out her days alone, bringing shame to our family line." Niven studied the hologram, noting the intelligence that sparkled in the young woman's eyes despite her evident sadness. There was something captivating about her gentle expression, a warmth that transcended species barriers. "I'm sorry to hear of her condition," Niven said carefully, "but I'm not sure why you're telling me this." Jorak's purple eyes met his directly. "Because I offer her to you as a bride, Ambassador Walsh. A marriage alliance between our species. She cannot run from you, cannot flee as our warriors might fear a human bride would do. In exchange, I will convince the High Council to grant humans exclusive mining rights to the Kepler sector." The proposal hit Niven like a physical blow. Marriage alliances were common in Viridian culture, he knew, but this seemed particularly callous. Yet as he looked again at the hologram of Zara, he found himself focusing not on her disability, but on the quiet strength he saw in her expression. "This is highly irregular," Niven began, his diplomatic training warring with his personal feelings. "I would need to consider—" "There is little time," Jorak interrupted urgently. "The war faction grows stronger each day. My father believes conflict is inevitable unless we can demonstrate that coexistence is possible. This marriage would be that demonstration. Zara has agreed to this arrangement, knowing it may prevent the deaths of millions." The weight of responsibility settled on Niven's shoulders like a lead blanket. He thought of the reports crossing his desk daily, military buildups, skirmishes in the neutral zone, the growing sentiment on both sides that war was inevitable. Could a single marriage really change the course of history? "She has truly agreed to this?" he asked quietly. "She has, though she fears you will find her inadequate. Our people value physical perfection highly. She knows humans may see her differently. Niven studied the hologram once more, seeing past the wheelchair visible at the bottom of the image to the person within. There was something about Zara that called to him, a vulnerability mixed with strength that he found deeply appealing. "I would need to meet her first," he said finally. "To speak with her directly, to understand her feelings on this matter." Relief flooded Jurak's features. "Of course. She waits in my ship, afraid to come forward herself. She believes her appearance might disgust you." "Then let's not keep her waiting," Niven said, surprising himself with the warmth in his own voice. As they walked toward the landing platform where Jurak's ship rested like a silver teardrop against the morning sky, Niven found his thoughts racing. He had entered the diplomatic corps to serve humanity, to prevent conflicts and build bridges between species. Never had he imagined that service might require something so personal, so intimate. Yet as the ship's doors opened with a soft hiss, revealing the figure of a young woman waiting nervously in the shadows within, Niven felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just about duty anymore. Something about Zara's image had touched him, awakened a protectiveness and curiosity he hadn't expected. The future of two civilizations might hang in the balance, but in that moment, all Niven could think about was meeting the gentle soul behind those sad, intelligent eyes.
The reluctant meeting. The interior of Jurak's ship was a study in elegant curves and soft lighting, designed to accommodate Iridian aesthetics that favored flowing lines over harsh angles. Niven stepped carefully across the threshold, his diplomatic training reminding him to observe every detail while his heart raced with anticipation and nervousness. Zara sat near a large viewing portal, natural light streaming across her features and highlighting the delicate bone structure of her face. She was even more beautiful than her hologram had suggested, but it was the quiet dignity in her posture that truly struck him. Despite being confined to what appeared to be a sophisticated mobility device, she held herself with graceful poise. "Sister," Jurak said gently, "this is Ambassador Walsh. He has agreed to meet with you." Zara's eyes lifted to meet Niven's, and he felt a jolt of recognition pass between them. Her gaze was intelligent and assessing, but also tinged with vulnerability. She wore simple robes in shades of deep blue that complemented her skin tone, and her hands rested calmly in her lap. "Ambassador," she said, her voice softer than her brother's but equally clear in human speech. "I apologize for this unusual situation. I know it must seem strange to your people." Niven found himself stepping closer, drawn by something indefinable in her manner. "Please, call me Niven. And there's no need to apologize. Your brother explained the circumstances." "Did he explain that I am broken?" The words came out with quiet directness, no self-pity, but a clear statement of what she believed to be fact. "He explained that you were injured," I replied carefully, "but I see a woman, not a collection of injuries." A flicker of surprise crossed Zara's features. "You are kind to say so, but kindness will not change reality. I cannot walk, cannot run, cannot perform the duties expected of a Viridian wife. My brother offers me to you because he believes no Viridian male would accept such a burden." The clinical way she described herself stirred something protective in Niven's chest. He pulled a chair closer to where she sat and settled into it, bringing himself to her eye level. "May I ask about your accident?" he said gently. Zara's hands tightened slightly in her lap. "I was returning from the university where I studied xenobiology. The transport malfunctioned, struck a building. 3 people died. I survived, but the damage to my spine was extensive. Our medical technology can do much, but not everything." "You studied xenobiology?" Niven found himself genuinely interested. "That's remarkable. Most Viridians I've met have little interest in other species. For the first time, a small smile touched Zara's lips. I was always the curious one. My family despaired of my interest in inferior life forms. Now they see it as fitting that I should be given to one. The casual cruelty in her words made Niven's jaw tighten. Your family is wrong about many things, it seems. Zara studied his face intently, as if trying to determine whether his words were genuine. Why would you consider this arrangement? Surely a human of your status could find a more suitable partner among your own kind. I found myself being more honest than I had planned. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone broken. I see someone who survived something terrible and came through it with grace. I see intelligence and strength and, he paused, surprised by his own words, beauty. A flush of deeper blue colored Zara's cheeks. You speak very differently than I expected. What did you expect? Disgust, perhaps. Pity, certainly. Not this. She gestured vaguely between them. Jorak cleared his throat from where he had been standing silently near the entrance. I must return to the High Council soon. They expect an answer. Zara's expression grew immediately tense. Of course, you have duties, brother. Do not let me delay them. Niven heard the resignation in her voice and made a decision that surprised him. Could I speak with Zara alone for a moment? Jorak looked between them uncertainly. It would not be proper by our customs. Please, Zara said quietly, grant us this small impropriety. After a moment's hesitation, Jorak nodded and stepped outside, leaving them alone in the soft light of the ship's interior. You don't have to do this arrangement. If you're being pressured, I am not being forced. But Zara's voice lacked conviction. This marriage could prevent a war. How can I refuse if it might save lives? But what about your life, your happiness? Zara was quiet for a long moment, looking out through the viewing portal at the human embassy grounds. I have been preparing to die alone since my accident. If instead I can live with purpose, even if that purpose is simply being a symbol of peace, perhaps that is enough. What if it could be more than that? The words slipped out before Niven could stop them. She turned to look at him, curiosity replacing resignation in her expression. What do you mean? Niven leaned forward, his diplomatic training warring with something more personal and immediate. What if, instead of just being a symbol, you could be a partner? What if this arrangement could become something real? The hope that flickered in Zara's eyes was quickly suppressed. You barely know me. Then let me know you, he said simply. Give us both a chance to discover what this could become. For the first time since he had entered the ship, Zara's composure cracked slightly. You would truly want that, even knowing what I am? I know what you are. You're brilliant, brave, and beautiful. Everything else is just details. The silence that followed was charged with possibility, and Niven found himself holding his breath as Zara considered his words.
Understanding beyond words. 3 weeks after their first meeting, Niven found himself looking forward to his daily visits to the diplomatic quarters where Zara had been given residence. What had begun as formal courtship meetings had evolved into something neither of them had expected. Genuine friendship built on mutual respect and growing affection. The quarters had been modified to accommodate Zara's needs, with ramps and adjustable surfaces that allowed her independence. Niven often found her in the small garden area, tending to plants she had brought from her homeworld. Her knowledge of botany was extensive, and she had begun teaching him about the subtle differences between Viridian and Earth flora. The blue flowers need more shade, Zara explained, as Niven helped her reposition a planter. Their hands touched briefly as they guided the heavy pot, and both felt the spark of contact. On Viridia, they grow under the canopy of the great trees. Like this? Niven asked, moving the planter to a spot where the afternoon sun would be filtered by the overhead trellis. Perfect, she smiled, and the word held more meaning than simple approval. Their conversations had grown deeper with each passing day. Zara's quick wit and vast knowledge made every discussion engaging, while her gentle humor had begun to crack the careful diplomatic reserve Niven usually maintained. She, in turn, seemed to bloom under his attention, the sadness that had marked their first meeting slowly giving way to cautious optimism. "Tell me about your work," she said as they settled on a bench overlooking the small fountain at the garden's center. "Before you became an ambassador." "I was a xenoanthropologist. I studied how different species develop social structures, communication patterns. It's what drew me to diplomatic work." Zara's eyes lit up with interest. "So you understand how complex cross-species relationships can be? The misunderstandings, the assumptions based on appearance rather than substance?" "Exactly." He found himself studying her profile as she watched the water play in the fountain. "Most humans would look at our situation and see only the political necessity. They wouldn't see the person." "And what do you see?" The question was asked quietly, without looking at him. "I see someone who challenges me intellectually, who makes me think about things in new ways. I see kindness and strength and grace under pressure." He paused, then added more softly, "I see someone I could easily fall in love with." Zara turned to meet his gaze, her expression vulnerable. "Niven, I know it's soon. I know this started as a political arrangement, but what I feel for you, it's becoming something far beyond duty." "I feel it too, but I'm afraid." "Of what?" "Of disappointing you, of being less than you need, of my body failing even more than it already has." Her voice caught slightly on the last words. Niven reached out and gently took her hand, marveling at the softness of her skin. "Zara, you could never disappoint me. Your body doesn't define who you are." "Doesn't it?" She laughed bitterly. "Among my people, I am considered defective, unmarriageable, a burden to be disposed of." "Then your people are fools," Niven said firmly. "You are the most remarkable woman I have ever met, regardless of species." The intensity in his voice made her breath catch. "You truly mean that?" "I do." He lifted her hand to his lips and pressed a gentle kiss to her knuckles. "I mean every word." The gesture was intimate without being overwhelming, a promise of tenderness that made Zara's eyes fill with tears she quickly blinked away. No one had ever touched her with such reverence since her accident. "There's something else, something you should know before we go further." "What is it?" She looked down at their joined hands. "The medical procedures after my accident have left me unable to bear children. I cannot give you offspring to strengthen our alliance." Niven was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Then he said gently, "Do you think that changes how I feel about you?" "Doesn't it? Most men want children, want to pass on their legacy." "I want you," he said simply. "Everything else is secondary." The tears she had been fighting finally spilled over. "How can you be so accepting, so kind?" "Because I see you, really see you. Not your limitations, not your medical history, not what others think you should be. I see the brilliant, beautiful, strong woman you are." Before either of them could second-guess the moment, Zara leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was soft, tentative at first, then deeper as he responded with gentle passion. When they finally parted, both were breathing unsteadily. "I never thought I would feel this way again. Desired. Wanted." "You are," he assured her, resting his forehead against hers. "More than you know." "Show me," she said quietly. "Please." The request was soft but clear, and Niven felt his heart race. "Are you certain?" "I've never been more certain of anything." As the afternoon sun filtered through the garden trellis, casting dancing shadows around them, Niven and Zara discovered that love could indeed transcend all boundaries, physical, cultural, and political. Their growing connection was no longer just about preventing a war, it was about two souls finding completion in each other. Later, as they sat together in comfortable silence, Zara traced patterns on Niven's palm with her finger. "When my brother first proposed this arrangement, I thought it was just another way for him to dispose of me conveniently. And now? Now I think perhaps the universe has a sense of irony. It took the worst thing that ever happened to me to bring me the best thing." Niven lifted their joined hands and kissed her palm. "The best is yet to come." The choice of hearts. The emergency alert that shattered the pre-dawn quiet of the embassy was the sound Niven had been dreading for weeks. As he rushed to the communications center, still pulling on his uniform jacket, he could hear the tension in every voice, see the stress in every face that turned toward him. "Report," he demanded, sliding into the command chair. "Viridian warships have entered human space," Lieutenant Morrison announced, her voice tight with controlled fear. "3 heavy cruisers, weapons powered but not locked on. They're demanding to speak with you immediately." Niven's blood ran cold. Had they made any threats? Not yet, but their positioning suggests they're prepared for conflict. "Sir, there are reports of human military vessels moving to intercept." Before Niven could respond, the main display activated, revealing the stern face of someone he recognized from intelligence briefings, General Vex, leader of the Viridian war faction. The alien's features were harder than Jorak's, scarred from previous conflicts, and his purple eyes burned with barely contained aggression. "Ambassador Walsh," Vex's voice boomed through the speakers. "You have something that belongs to us." "General Vex," Niven replied, forcing diplomatic calm into his voice. "To what are you referring?" "The daughter of House Jorak. She was sent as a bride offering, not as a gift for you to keep indefinitely. The betrothal ceremony should have occurred weeks ago. Your delay dishonors her family and our people." Niven's blood ran cold. "Have they made any threats?" "Not yet, but their positioning suggests they're prepared for conflict. Sir, there are reports of human military vessels moving to intercept." Before Niven could respond, the main display activated, revealing the stern face of someone he recognized from intelligence briefings, General Vex, leader of the Viridian war faction. The alien's features were harder than Jorak's, scarred from previous conflicts, and his purple eyes burned with barely contained aggression. "Ambassador Walsh," Vex's voice boomed through the speakers, "you have something that belongs to us." "General Vex," Niven replied, forcing diplomatic calm into his voice. "To what are you referring?" "The daughter of House Jorak. She was sent as a bride offering, not as a gift for you to keep indefinitely. The betrothal ceremony should have occurred weeks ago. Your delay dishonors her family and our people." Niven felt his heart racing. "The Lady Zara is free to make her own choices regarding—" "She is property of her family until properly transferred to yours," Vex interrupted. "If you refuse the marriage, she must be returned. If you accept, the ceremony must happen immediately. No more delays, no more human tricks." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the communication center in tense silence. Niven stared at the blank screen, his mind racing through possibilities, all of them leading to the same conclusion: he was out of time. "Sir," Lieutenant Morrison's voice seemed to come from far away. "Your orders." "Contact Zara immediately," Niven said, already moving toward the door. "Tell her I need to see her urgently." He found her in the garden where they had spent so many peaceful hours, but today the space felt charged with impending doom. She was facing away from him, but the tension in her shoulders told him she had already heard the news. "They've come for me," she said without turning around. "Not if you don't want to go," Niven replied, moving to stand beside her. "We can make this work, Zara. The ceremony, the marriage. And trap you in a political arrangement when your feelings might change?" She turned to face him, and he saw the pain in her eyes. My feelings won't change," he said desperately. "What we have is real." "Is it? Or is it just two lonely people finding comfort in an impossible situation?" Her voice was steady, but he could see the tears she was fighting. "Don't do this," Niven reached for her hands. Don't tear apart what we've built because you're afraid." "I'm not afraid of my feelings," Zara said firmly. "I'm afraid of destroying your life. If we marry now, under these circumstances, with warships overhead, it will always be tainted by coercion. Then what are you suggesting?" Zara looked past him toward the sky where the Viridian ships hung like distant threats. "Let me go back with them. Let me face whatever consequences await. Don't let your civilization go to war because of me." "Absolutely not." The words came out harsher than Niven intended. "I won't let them take you back to be punished for something that isn't your fault." "Then marry me," she said quietly. "Right here, right now, before they can object further." Niven stared at her, seeing the resolve in her expression. "Are you proposing to me?" A small smile finally broke through her serious demeanor. "I believe I am. Niven Walsh, will you take me as your wife, knowing that I come with political complications, physical limitations, and a stubborn streak that apparently runs in my family?" "Yes," he said without hesitation, pulling her closer. "But not here, not like this. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right." Within the hour, the embassy's main hall had been hastily converted into a wedding venue. Jorak had arrived with a small delegation, his relief evident when he learned of their decision. Lieutenant Morrison and the embassy staff served as witnesses, while Zara had insisted on a simple ceremony that honored both human and Viridian traditions. As they stood before the improvised altar, Niven couldn't help but marvel at how beautiful Zara looked in the formal robes Jorak had brought. The deep purple fabric brought out the silver highlights in her skin, and her hair had been arranged in the traditional Viridian style for brides. "The rings," prompted the chaplain who had been hastily called in to perform the ceremony. Niven had commissioned them from the embassy's fabrication unit, simple bands of merged metals, one from Earth and one from Viridia, symbolizing the union of two worlds as much as two people. "I give you this ring as a symbol of my love and commitment," Niven said, as he slipped the band onto Zara's finger. "Not because of politics or duty, but because you've become the other half of my soul." Zara's voice was steady as she placed the matching ring on his finger. "I give you this ring as a promise that whatever challenges we face, we'll face them together. You've shown me that love can triumph over any limitation." The moment their lips met in their first kiss as husband and wife, every person in the room felt the truth of those words. This wasn't a political arrangement anymore. It was a love story that happened to have diplomatic benefits. The reception was interrupted by another communication alert. This time General Vex's expression held grudging respect along with his perpetual scowl. "The marriage is complete," he demanded. "It is," Niven replied, his arm around Zara's waist. "Then House Jorak has fulfilled its obligation and the alliance stands. But know this, human. If you dishonor her, if you treat her as anything less than the noble blood she carries, I will personally come for your head." "Understood, General, but that won't be necessary." After the transmission ended, Zara looked up at her new husband in wonder. "I can't believe it's real." "It's real," Niven assured her, lifting her hand to examine the ring that now bound them together. "You're my wife. I'm your husband, and nothing will change that. Even when the politics get complicated, especially then," he smiled. "We're in this together now, for better or worse." As they moved through the reception, accepting congratulations and well wishes, both Niven and Zara felt the truth of those words. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as partners, as equals, as two people who had found something precious worth fighting for. The future was uncertain, but their love was not.
Love conquers all. 6 months later, Niven stood before the assembled delegates of the Galactic Council, Zara beside him in her role as the newly appointed ambassador for interspecies relations. The irony wasn't lost on him. The woman who had once been considered unmarriageable by her own people was now helping to negotiate peace accords between multiple civilizations. The success of the Human-Viridian Alliance, Zara addressed the Council in 3 different languages, demonstrates that cooperation transcends physical differences and cultural barriers. When we focus on shared goals rather than perceived limitations, we unlock possibilities that benefit all parties. The delegates, representing 7 different species, listened with rapt attention. The transformation in Zara over the past months had been remarkable.
Marriage hadn't changed her physically, but it had restored her confidence and given her a platform to use her considerable intellect. She had become a powerful voice for unity in a galaxy often divided by suspicion and fear. The mining rights in the Kepler sector, continued Director Helm, the human representative, have been shared equitably between our species, resulting in a 40% increase in productivity and zero conflicts. This model could be replicated in other disputed territories. Niven watched his wife with pride and amazement. The shy, resigned woman he had first met had blossomed into a formidable diplomat whose disability had become secondary to her extraordinary abilities. She navigated the political complexities with grace, using her unique perspective as someone who understood both prejudice and redemption to bridge gaps between vastly different cultures. After the session concluded, they returned to their shared quarters aboard the Council station. The space had been designed to accommodate both their needs, with Zara's mobility equipment seamlessly integrated into the living area. Another successful negotiation, Niven observed, loosening his formal jacket as he settled onto the couch beside her. The Andromedans are still skeptical. They believe interspecies marriage is a form of cultural contamination. Give them time, Niven said, pulling her close. 6 months ago, my own people thought I was crazy for marrying an alien. Now they're calling our union a diplomatic masterpiece. Zara laughed softly. Is that what we are? A masterpiece? We're a miracle, he corrected, pressing a kiss to her temple. Every day with you feels miraculous. The past months hadn't been without challenges. There had been medical crises when Zara's condition worsened temporarily, requiring surgery and weeks of recovery. There had been political pressure from both sides, questioning their motives and their effectiveness. There had been personal moments of doubt and fear about the future. But through it all, their bond had only grown stronger. Niven had learned to see strength in vulnerability, to find beauty in resilience. Zara had discovered that love could exist without conditions, that acceptance could be absolute. I received word from my brother today, Zara mentioned, curling against Niven's side. The High Council has formally apologized for their treatment of disabled citizens. They're implementing new policies for medical support and social integration. Because of you? Because of us, she corrected. Our marriage showed them that value isn't determined by physical capability. It forced them to examine their own prejudices. Niven marveled at how their personal journey had created ripples throughout both their societies. Children with disabilities on Viridia were no longer hidden away in shame. Humans had begun to reconsider their own assumptions about alien species. Love had indeed proven capable of changing worlds. There's something I want to tell you, Zara said quietly, turning to face him with an expression that mixed excitement with nervousness. What is it? Dr. Kieran believes she may have found a way to restore some function to my legs. It's experimental, combining human and Viridian medical techniques. There are no guarantees, and the recovery would be long and difficult. Niven felt his heart race with hope and fear. What do you want to do? I want to try, she said firmly. Not because I'm unhappy with who I am now, but because I want every possible future with you. I want to dance at our anniversary celebration. I want to walk on the beaches of Earth with you. And if it doesn't work? Then I'll still be the same woman who loves you completely, who considers herself the luckiest person in the galaxy because she gets to wake up beside you every day. Niven cupped her face gently, overwhelmed by the depth of his love for her. Whatever happens, whatever the outcome, nothing will change how I feel about you. I know, she smiled, leaning into his touch. That's why I'm brave enough to try. As they held each other in the quiet of their quarters, watching the stars wheel past the viewport, both reflected on the journey that had brought them here. What had begun as a desperate political arrangement had become the foundation for personal happiness and galactic peace. Do you think, Zara asked sleepily,
That when Jorak first proposed this marriage, he knew it would lead to all this? I think your brother was smarter than either of us realized. He saw something we couldn't see ourselves, that we were exactly what each other needed. A disabled alien woman and a workaholic human diplomat? A brilliant, beautiful, strong woman and a man lucky enough to be chosen by her. In the months and years that followed, their story would become legend, told throughout the galaxy as proof that love could overcome any obstacle, bridge any divide, heal any wound. But in that moment, there were simply two people who had found their home in each other's hearts.